Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel, LiveLoveCrochet. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the Alpine Stitch Cardigan. Now this one is 0 to 3 as you know from the sneak peek. I also did this 9 to 12. So today I am going to be doing a 3 to 6 cardigan. So if you're interested in making this cardigan with me, I will show you what we are going to do. So we're going to need a 4.5mm hook, a pair of scissors, a measuring tape, a darning needle to sew in our tails, buttons, and a ball of yarn. I'm going to be using double knitted yarn. And this ball is a 150g ball and it's 100% acrylic. So if you have your things ready, I will now show you some measurements before we start. So I have wrote down some measurements for us so it makes it easier. So we have head circumference, chest, yoke, sleeve length, the length of the cardigan, and the hood, because we're going to be making a hood for this one. I have newborn, 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9 and 9 to 12. So if you would like to take the measurements down for your size, just pause the video here. So we are going to need the head circumference first for the yoke measurements that I'm about to show you. So 32, 33, 38, 40, 43, 45, but what we're going to do is -3 off of these measurements, which I will show you in a minute. So here are the yoke measurements. So we have small, and then that's going to be the biggest one. So in order to get your yoke, you need to have your measuring tape as well, so you can see how many chains it is to get to your head circumference. So for the head circumference, right, so just for an example, I am doing a 3 to 6 months cardigan and my head circumference is 40 centimeters. Now I don't want the neckline to be too wide, which with the 9 to 12 that I did, I left the head circumference as normal length and my neckline came out a little too wide for me. So I decided that I was going to take a little bit off the original chain. So for this I'm going to -3 centimeters. So then I am left with 37 centimeters. So this one here is going to be my new length of my chain. So if you would like to get your head circumference length ready, and we can get started on our yoke. So I have my yarn, my measuring tape and my hook ready. So I'm doing 3 to 6, so I'm just going to start off saying 42 and 44 are going to be way too small for the 46. So I'm going to try the 48, and if that one's too small, I will try the 52, and so on. So I'm going to chain 48 to start with, and then I'm going to measure it and see where I am at. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I will meet you back here when I have 48 chains. So I have my 48 chains, and now I am just going to measure the length of my chain, which I need 37 centimeters. So with a little bit of a pull, I am actually at 37. So that actually worked out well. 48 is my yoke measurement, so I'm happy with that. So when you have your measurement, what you are going to do is add 2 chains, 1 and 2, and then we're going to find the 4th stitch, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we're going to put a double crochet into that 4th stitch. Now these stitches, this stitch here counts as a double crochet. These are your chains that you've just chained, that you just skipped, sorry. Those are the chains you have just skipped. So we currently have 2 double crochets. So for mine, I need 6. You might need a different number depending on what size you are doing. So 2 into the next is 3, into the next is 4, 5 and 6. So you should have 6 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So now we are going to make the corner, which is going to be in the next stitch is a double crochet, chain 2, 1 and 2, and make a double crochet back into that same chain. Now I have over the shoulder to do, which is 9 double crochets. So into the next stitch is 1, 2, 3, 4, and I will meet you back here when I have 9 double crochets. So I have 9 double crochets, and now it is time to make my next corner. So into the next stitch, it's going to be a double crochet, chain 2, double crochet into the same stitch. So for my next, it's going to be 14 for across the back. So 14 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and I will meet you back here when I have my 14 double crochets. I have my 14 double crochets, so now we are going to be making the corner. So into the next stitch, make your corner. And now we're going to be doing the shoulder, the next shoulder, which is 9 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. So now I'm going to make my last corner here. So into the next stitch, make your corner. So then the last double crochets is 6. So this is going to be the front of your cardigan for the chest at the front. So I need 6 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there we have our first row of our yoke. So this is what it should look like at the moment. That's what you should have. So I can now get rid of this because we don't need it anymore. So for our next row, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. So now we're just going to be putting a double crochet into the very first stitch. So 1, and we are going to double crochet until our corner. So we have one last stitch here, which we're just going to put double crochet into, and then we have our chain 2 space for our corner. So going into that chain 2 space, make a double crochet, chain 2, and into the same chain 2 space, one more double crochet. And then into the very next stitch is going to be a double crochet, and this is all we are going to do until the end of the row. Just make our double crochets and our corners. So I'm going to make mine, and I'm going to see you right at the end. I have now reached the end of my row, and I have 2 double crochets left to do. So there is 1. Also, we have our chains that we skipped at the start, so don't forget those because they're actually counted as a stitch. So if you just put into the top, and make a double crochet, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do exactly the same again. So into the very first stitch here, a double crochet, into the next, chest. Right, so here is where I show you the measurements again. I know some of you might have written them down, but for those of you that haven't, I'm going to get them back out. So here we are. Now what we need to look at is our yoke. So we have the measurements. So I am doing a 3 to 6 month cardigan, so I am going to need 11 centimeters. Now for this yoke, it's just very simply a double crochet row for the yoke, double crochet rows. So double crochet after double crochet, and then when the yoke's finished, that's when we get onto this interesting stitch, which I really do like. So we are going to continue with our double crochets until, like I said, mine is 11 centimeters. So just take my hook out. So I'm going to keep going until I have 11 centimeters. So until I reach 11 centimeters, maybe I might do 10 until I get to 10, because the row after is going to make it up to the 11 anyway. So yeah, I'm going to see you next when my yoke reaches 10 centimeters. So keep going with your double crochet rows. So chain 1, turn, double crochet into that same stitch, double crochet, corner, double crochet, corner, and so on. And I will see you when I have my 10 centimeters. So I have now just completed my yoke, and I'm just past 10 centimeters. So I'm about 10.5 centimeters, which is perfectly fine. So now we are going to measure the chest, but we are only going to measure this bit. So if it makes it easier for you, what I'm going to suggest is getting 2 stitch markers, and then into this corner just pop your stitch marker, and into this corner the second stitch marker. And what you're going to do is just measure from stitch marker to stitch marker. So my tape here, I'm just going to show you the measurements for the chest. So here is the chest measurements, but we only need half of these measurements. So I'm going to show you half of these measurements. I'm going to do it for you. So for newborn, it's going to be 40.5 divided by 2 equals 20 and a little bit. So what we're going to do is just round off to 20 centimeters. 4 0 to 3 is 46. So we're going to divide that by 2, which is 23 centimeters. 3 to 6 is 48 divided by 2 equals 24. And then 6 to 9 is 50 divided by 2 is 25. And 9 to 12 is 52. Divide that by 2 equals 26. So there are the measurements you are going to need for this part of your yoke. So I'm just going to give you a better look at the measurements. So newborn 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. Those are your measurements. So I am making 3 to 6, so my measurement is 24 centimeters. So I am now going to measure from stitch marker to stitch marker. This is going to be for the chest. So I am measuring at 21 centimeters. So I needed it to be 24, so I'm missing 3 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure my double crochets and see how many double crochets fit into my 3 centimeters. So I have 1, 2, 3 and 4 double crochets. So that means I'm going to put 4 chains this side and 4 chains this side. So I'm going to get my work. And we're going to chain 1, turn your work, and we're going to make double crochets. Going to make double crochets until we get to this corner here. So I'll meet you when I'm back at the corner. I'm back at my corner. Now what we're going to do is put a double crochet into that corner, and you're going to chain the amount you need that you are missing from your chest. So say if you had the right size, the right measurement here, you will still put 1 chain on each sleeve. So I have 4, so 1, 2, 3 and 4. Then I'm going to fold my cardigan, and where you have your stitch marker, we're going to join them with a double crochet. So just simply going in and making a double crochet, and then into the next stitch we're going to make double crochet. So we're going to make a double crochet all the way along now until we get to our stitch marker. I'm back at my stitch marker, so I need to make a double crochet into this corner here, and then I need to do my chains again, which was 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and I'm going to fold over, and I'm going to put a double crochet into the corner, into the chain 2 space, and then I'm going to make double crochets until I get to the end. So I'm now at the end, and I'm going to put my last double crochet into that last space, and then I'm going to chain one and turn. You can now take your stitch markers out. So the next row again is going to be a double crochet. This time we need to count our stitches, so you can either count them as we go or you can count them at the end. It is totally up to you. So I'm going to double crochet into the first stitch. So I am saying we need to count our stitches now because we need a even number of double crochets. So we're going to do this double crochet row, and on the next row we are going to do another double crochet row, and if you have an odd number you are going to decide whether you want to decrease or increase for an even number. I would recommend an increase because we don't really want to make it like smaller, but it's your cardigan and it's totally up to you. So I am going to show you how to crochet into your chains, and then I'm going to complete the rest of my row and count my stitches and work out if I need to add a increase. So I am at the chains now. So if you can see, there is your first chain. We need to go into that chain and we need to make a double crochet into the next chain, double crochet, and into your last chain. So there is my underarm, and then you just continue to make your single crochets, your double crochets, sorry, double crochets until you get to your chains. You put your double crochets into each of your chains, and I will meet you back here. At the end of my row, just got one more stitch, and I have 64 stitches, so I don't need to do a increase in the next row. So I'm going to chain one. So if you have got an odd number, I recommend you put the increase or decrease in the back somewhere that's not very noticeable, because you don't want to put it underneath your sleeves. You could put it like a bit here, maybe just away from your sleeve, so I don't actually have to make an increase. So this for me is just going to be my last double crochet row. So I am just going to double crochet into every stitch until I get to the end of my row, and I will see you when I get here. I have come to the end of my row and I have one last double crochet to put in. So chain one and turn your work. So this row is going to be our single crochet row. So into the very first stitch, make a single crochet, and we are just going to simply single crochet into every stitch. So I will complete my row of single crochets and I will meet you back here. I have just finished my single crochet, oops, sorry about that. I have just finished my single crochet row. Now we get on to the Alpine stitch. So we're going to chain 2, 1, 2, turn our work. So we are going to skip this chain here and we're going to go into this stitch here. So skip this chain and go into this stitch. So I'm going to do a front post double crochet. So in, catch your yarn, pull it out, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. There you have your first front post double crochet. So now we have to be careful that we don't go into the same stitch. So this stitch here belongs to the front post double crochet. So we are now going to double crochet into the next stitch. So into this stitch here. And then we leave this alone and we make a front post double crochet into the next post. And into the next stitch is a double crochet, skipping this one because it belongs to the double crochet. Into the next space we put a front post double crochet, and this is how this row is going to go. So as you can see, this stitch is just for one side. So I'm going to turn the sleeves out, and this is now going to be my right side. You can tell it's your right side because I have nice bumps here, and on the inside doesn't look all that nice. So right side, wrong side. We're going to do the Alpine stitch on the right side, and then we're going to do a single crochet row on the wrong side. So I am going to complete my row, and I will meet you back here when I am right about finishing. I am almost finished. So I have front post, a double crochet on my last front post, and you should be finishing with a double crochet, and that just goes into the top of that stitch there, and then we chain one and turn our work. So this row, as I've said, is just going to be a single crochet row. So putting a single crochet into every stitch. Try not to miss any stitches. So I'm going to complete my row and meet you back here when I come to the end. I have reached the end of my row. Now I'm going to show you where we put single crochet. So this is our chain 2. I'm going to go into the second chain and make a single crochet, and then we're going to chain 2 and turn our work. So this is our second front post double crochet row. So on this one, where we have a front post, we are going to double crochet into the top. Where we have a double crochet, we're going to do a front post double crochet. So just like this. So front post double crochet, so double crochet into that, into the next one we have a double crochet, so we're going to go into that stitch and make a front post double crochet. Then into the next one is a double crochet, and next front post, and this is pretty much all we have to do now for the rest of our length. So what we need to know is the rows. So we're going to do front post double crochet and a double crochet row, and then we're going to turn, chain 1 and turn and do a single crochet row. And then we're going to chain 2 and turn and do a front post double crochet and a double crochet row. So I'm just going to call it the Alpine Stitch Row. So that is what you're going to do for the rest of the length. So I'll just show you how it looks so far, and I will give you some measurements. So this is what it's looking like so far. which is very pretty. Just trying to move this out of the way so you can see. That's it. So I will give you some measurements now for the length. Now these are just estimates which I've come up with. You don't have to do this length, you can do your own length, you can make it longer, you can make it shorter, it's totally up to you. So for newborn, the length is going to be 2.5 centimeters. 0 to 3 is 13.5, 3 to 6 is 14.5, 6 to 9, 16 centimeters, 9 to 12 is 17.5. So what you need to know now is how much you need to take away from that, because we have ribbon at the bottom which is going to count into our length. So if I just measure the ribbon quickly, so this is measuring at 3 centimeters. So what you need to do is take 3 centimeters off your length. So I am doing 3 to 6, so my length in Alpine Stitch is going to be 11.5 centimeters. So when we measure, we are going to measure from this armhole here where we started. So mine is 11.5. So I'm going to do this stitch until there, and then the other 3 centimeters is 14.5. So that is approximately how big mine is going to be, give or take a little bit, just in case I go over. So yes, you need to do the same. Like I said, if you want it longer, you're free to do that, it's totally up to you. So this is the end of part 1. I hope this has been useful to you and you found it helpful with the measurements and that. If there was no use, then just comment and I won't use them again. So yeah, this is the end of part 2. When I come back in, sorry, it's the end of part 1. When I come back in part 2, I will have my length done. I'm gonna wait to do the ribbon. I will do that with you in part 2. And I will have a sleeve done. So when you've done your length, don't cut your yarn, because we're going to carry on with the ribbon in part 2. So do your length, but don't cut your yarn. Okay, so I will be back with the length and possibly a sleeve done, just so that you can see what it looks like. And we will do our edging as well, and also our hood in part 2. So thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in part 2. Bye.